All right, it's that time again. It seems like it sneaks up every week, at least for me, that it seems like just yesterday was Friday and here we are Sunday evening. But it's time for me to go live. I've hit the button and it says I'm live. So here I am. But it looks like Pelham's Aquatics was here, something like that. Jeff, welcome in, Jeff. And then Skull Aquatics, welcome in, Curtis. Jeff says, wow, he's first. First in, second thumbs up. We'll give you a first thumbs up also, since the first thumbs up was me well before the stream kicked off. So I try to do that, try to hit the thumbs up whenever I go in and change the settings. I don't know if it helps the algorithm or not, but if I don't like my own stuff, then why should anybody else, right? Let's see, going on down. So Jeff's doing water changes, will be listening. All right. Curtis says it's too hot outside, so he's doing water changes too. Which everybody's doing water changes. If I could figure out a way to do water changes and video, like have the video going, you know, I might would video on live stream, but knowing me, I would flood the fish room again. But this weekend's been a little different. I had plans and had to change those plans because I had some stuff come up. But I was able to get a few things done in here today. You can't see it, but I got the little door thing over there done. So I've got that rack over there completed with the little doors. I'm working on adjusting those. This tank here, I think, is going to be my next one. I just dread dealing with this sign overhanging. Did I go to Chattanooga? Skull asks. No, I wish I could have. It looked like it was a good time from the pictures. I had to stay here locally for the stuff that came up. I had to be basically on call, where that if I was needed, I could be where I needed to be in 20 minutes or something like that. Chattanooga's a little further than 20 minutes away, but it looked like a good time, and a lot of neat stuff there, it looked like. But I had to stay here locally, so I was doing a few things in here. Got the area over there where I'm working on getting set up for my 10-gallon tank project over there. Got it mostly cleaned out. I've got the 10-gallon tanks along the floor. So next things will be to build the rack. See, Curtis says he thinks Nancy went. I think she might have. I think I saw her in some of the pictures, and I don't know if they were. I've seen so many pictures of that I don't know if it was at the event or after the event. I thought I saw her in some of the stuff, in some of the pictures, but me and recognizing people's doesn't have the best history. I see people think they are the person that I think they are, and they end up being somebody else. Elite Menagerie says, welcome in, by the way. I have to feed the fish room and then get on the road to head home. But can I say one of the hobby if I can read? But can I say one way the hobby has changed in 30 years? Oh, absolutely. I was looking at that topic of how the hobby's changed, and what came to my mind first was since I had my pet store, and that was 20 years ago. I thought, well, let's go back a little further. Let's go 30 years back. Um, but yeah, if you've got if you know of ways that's changed, go ahead and mention them. Because it's definitely changed a lot in 30 years. It's changed a lot in 20 years. Things are quite a bit different. Things aren't done the same way. And the thing that got me thinking about this was talking to somebody the other day about a pet store in the state closing. And one of the contributing factors is stuff has changed since they opened their store in the world, and they've kept trying to do the same thing over and over without, adapting for the changing world. Let's see. I'm horrible with names as well, but I believe Elite Menagerie is Louise, and Curtis used that name, so I'm going to trust Curtis there. Again, if it's not, I'm sorry. I'm horrible with names. Sometimes I forget my own name. Let's see. Louise says, people used to go to the library and learn. Now the library's in their pocket, which is Google, and half the customers refuse to use it. Yeah, and that was one of the things, like, I remember like 30 years ago, it'd be like 95, 96. So just for easy math, 95. Back then, I would get the Tropical Fish Hobbies magazine. I had a stack of them beside my bed, and I would read on them every night and learn about fish that way. And you learned a lot about fish from your pet store, fish store. It might not always be correct. I remember going in and getting fish and being told they would all go along well together, and they didn't last very long together. But that is a big difference. It's like now the information availability is at your fingertips. Even if you go to the library, most of the library stuff is digitized now. There's still books, but there's a lot more available digitally at the libraries, it seems. Uncle Smiley came in. Welcome. The GIPG. Welcome in. So is GIPG Peter? Let's see. So many researches, so many methods, but some people are too darn stubborn. Yeah, and that's something like there's so much information out there available now, but not everybody uses it. And if you think back to 95, in 95, there wasn't even like when we all think back to the old school forums and stuff like that, we think of Monster Fish Keepers. Monster Fish Keepers wasn't, it was 10 years out from even coming along. So, your socialization with aquarium fish and fish keepers was, you had a few clubs here and there, or meeting up at the pet stores, and there was pet stores. There was, if not every town, every 2 or 3 towns over would have a pet store. I remember back then, My town didn't have a pet store, but in both directions there was a pet store. Like if you go down the road this way, 15 minutes, there was a pet store, 15, 20 minutes. If you go the other direction, about 20 minutes, there was a pet store. There was pet stores all over. And it seems now that more and more of them aren't around anymore. The big box stores are kind of taken over, and internet sales are taken over. So it's a little harder for the independent store to do its thing. But then that's kind of what got me thinking about it originally. Was you kind of have to either be in a larger metropolitan area, find your niche that what you're different than everywhere else, or potentially, get an online presence going. You're advertising online. You got a Facebook page that you're telling people on Facebook what you're doing. You're selling online or something like that. Peter the Friendly Giant from Belgium. Oh, I don't know if I've seen you around in other streams or videos or whatever, but again, welcome. Let's see. Louise says it can be, not always, but it can be a huge headache in owning a store. Okay, Union break over. I'll be listening. Hello all, and have a great Sunday. Yeah, I mean, owning a pet store's always had its challenges, but it seems like now it's got more challenging. We've had a few pet stores that have opened or tried to open, and their mindset was, well, people can get stuff on Amazon, so I don't need to carry any dry goods. And that's, in my opinion, not the way to think about it, because you still want people to come in to get their medicines and fish foods and stuff like that. But other things that have changed in 30 years, it's like our availability of fish, the technology of collecting the fish, of transporting the fish. A lot of it's still the same, but there has been some advancements made to where we can get more fish than what we did back then. And if you think about it, like the roseline sharks, the Denison barbs, they didn't even get introduced into the hobby until '96, and that was just that they were taken to a show and introduced at a show, and really in '97 is when they started getting released out into the mainstream hobby. And you didn't have those. You didn't have celestial pearl danios. Glowfish weren't a thing back then. If you wanted fish that kind of looked like glowfish, they would take like white skirt tetras, and they would dip them in like a mild acid, and then dip them in a dye, and then you dye the fish, or they inject them with a colored ink, or some of them even got tattooed for that, which was really harmful to the fish. Only about 20% survived the whole process. But I don't know that you see those anymore now that the glowfish came along. And mid '90s, the range you would have, 55 was a big tank, and most people would aiming towards a 20, 30, or a 55-gallon tank, and we're keeping angels and swordtails and tetras and that type of stuff. The whole like African cichlid thing had kind of hit and was starting to die off some. That the African cichlids, the Malawi cichlids were still kind of popular, but it was at the tail end of their big heyday. Let's see if I missed anything in the chats. Peter says I've probably seen them in other streams. Yeah, I've been in them, and I see people. My memory is horrible. Can't remember people's names or associate channel names and that type of stuff. Jeff said Africans died out like the dinosaurs. For the most part, I mean, they're still around. There's still little groupings here and there of people that are really into the peacocks and the haps and baboonas and stuff. But not as much as there was. And part of that is the transition now is a lot to the nano fish, the small fish, stuff that would have been like looked over 30 years ago. If they did catch it when they were collecting, they would toss it up because it's so tiny. Little ember tetras and little rasboras and stuff that are real small. But so the nano tanks have become more popular. The 10 gallons, the 20 longs are really popular now, and keeping small little fish in them. With the small fish, you got to mention the shrimp. The shrimp niche has really grown. The caradinas, neocaradinas. I don't think the Sulawesi shrimp were even around back then. The 3 tanks behind me. Well, I wish the angle was better to get a better view out of them. This one here, and I need to get my labels made so that I can remember what they're called. Because I have it all written down, but when I'm out here, my brain just goes blank. This one has a pair of Apistogrammas in it. I'd have to look up to see what they are. I remember, I think it starts with a B. They're not the cockatoides, but it's got those in them. And there's like some rice fish for dithers. This one over here, I have a couple pairs of Apistogramma cockatoides in it. I'll probably separate them out when I figure out which ones are actually pairing off. And it's got my super red bristlenose in it. I said many streams ago that I was going to separate my super reds from my pistos. I still haven't done it. I see Jeff mentioned Borrelia. They're not Borrelia. They're something else. It may not even be with the B. It's one that when I saw it, I hadn't heard of it before. And I went ahead and got a pair of them. Down on the bottom, I've got a trio or 2 pairs of guppies. I have to look at what variety they are. I think they're like red tuxedos or something like that. And then I also have bristle nose pleco colony down there breeding. The question, triple reds perhaps. The cockatoides are, I think they may be triple reds. But if I ever forget what these are fully, like one of their common names is Apisto inca, but I can't remember the actual, I think it's the scientific name. The species starts with a B, but I can't remember it for sure. I've got it written down. everybody's trying to guess the name of them. Like you can guess it. I know it's not Borrelia. And then Curtis has put something else there that starts with a B. It could be it. I don't. It's not that. It's one of the names that I wouldn't remember if I saw it, but I know I have it written down of what it is, so that when I need to put it up there, I can. But that's the whole idea behind these cards here, is to actually label the tanks with the cards. And I'd like to put a picture of it, put a picture of the fish on there. I see Peter says, I'm not a pisto knower, but I can appreciate them, And I've kept a pistos off and on, but I've never been like a diehard, like some people know, like every variety just by looking at them, and every vintage by looking at them. But that's not me. They're interesting, they're neat, and I bred them years ago. I bred the cockatoos years ago, and I thought, get back in them, try to breed them again. But they're just fun to watch, even if they don't breed. I saw people saying hi to June. I'm like, I didn't see June come in, but there I see it. Said she's lurking and doing water changes also. Welcome in, June. And that's something else with from 30 years ago to today. Now we have the option of all this high tech stuff for the fish room, the Wi-Fi timers, all the digital stuff. I mean, back in '95, you were dealing with fluorescent tube lighting. The big thing was like you get your T5s for your aquariums, and that kind of dictated what you could do as far as plants and corals and different stuff like that. And I remember having a discussion. It was probably in the early 2000s with someone. The LEDs that started coming out, and they said LEDs will never have a place in the aquarium hobby. They just can't cut it. They can't do what a T5 or a metal halide, what they can do in the hobby. So there's no point in even looking at LEDs. Just they're not worth it. And now almost everything's an LED. I mean, this is still a fluorescent tube light, and that tank over there might have one. But other than that, all my other lights are all LEDs. And the only reason I have those as that old style fluorescent tubes is, when I get a used tank and they come with a light and that's what it is, I don't replace it until it doesn't do its job anymore. If it still does its job, it keeps working for me. But that being able to go to LEDs and get the differing levels of light has also changed that. At least for me, 30 years ago, I didn't see as wide variety of plants in the aquarium. And I think that the change in the lighting and the cost of the lighting, that has changed the focus on plants. And even if it wasn't the lighting that did it, there has been a shift towards more live plants in the aquarium that, back in the mid 90s, you didn't have that. It was put some artificial plants in there. You might get a Amazon sword or something to put in there, and then you put your community fish in there, your angelfish with your black skirt tetras, and every tank had to have an algae eater. So you would go get your pleco. They only sold one type of pleco, right? You get that baby common pleco. I remember that, you know, that's what you got. You got the common pleco. There wasn't, I mean, some specialty stores may have had different varieties, but everywhere, everywhere I'd ever been, there was only one type of pleco, and that was it. But now it's difficult to find a pet store that's selling common plecos, and most of them have switched over to bristlenose. Let's see. Peter says, I'm more of a German blue or other color variety variants. Yeah, my biggest preference are the Bolivians. I love the Rams. They're a fish that I may try again someday, but every time that I try them, they just don't do well for me. And I've always just associated it with my water being such harder water than what they're conditioned for, I guess. In this fish room, I may be able to do it now that it stays extra warm in here, and I have my RO system set up back there. Before this fish room, I never had dealt with RO, so it was whatever was coming out of the tap was what the fish got. And I hear that rams are a lot more hardy now than they used to be. And that's something else too, is like in 30 years, fish have changed a lot. They say rams are hardier, more hardy. The discus is more hardy. Guppies in general aren't. Most guppies are struggling from the larger industry. Betas, according to online sources, the lifespan of the typical beta has shortened in the last 30 years. That they don't live as long, and I think that's from the drastic hybridization that they went through to get such variety of colors and modeling and stuff that the beta has went through. Because 30 years ago, you didn't see betas that had all of the multicolored type thing. You had your reds and your blues, and it's pretty much all solid coloring. Let's see, Peter says, and since yesterday after I came back home from going to the fish store for some supplies, I've got 17 rainbow fish in front of my door. I'm guessing that's a delivery of rainbow fish and not just since you said at the front door, and not like a breeding and they just swam to the front door. I've had fish swim to the front door of this place before. Jeff's going to try the RO for hatching bimaculatus. Yeah, it's something that I put in here. I haven't utilized it to the level that I should. I'm sure the pistos would prefer that I mixed their water with some RO, and my wild betas probably would. But I've just been running the tap water as it is for now, looking to work on and get the auto water change set up first. But I've been saying that for what, 5, 6 years. I got frustrated whenever I realized the issue with the evaporation over the rim overflows for my tanks, and then I started drilling them, and then realized I didn't leave room for the drilling for the pipes coming out the back, and got frustrated. And kind of unofficially put stuff on hold. But I think I might have come up with an idea or a solution to fix that, even though I hate the idea. And that is, since there's not room on the back, I could always drill the bottoms of the tanks. I hate tanks. So I didn't want to do drill tanks to begin with, because I always change my mind and I always change tanks out, and drill tanks are impossible to sell around here. You can't hardly even give a drill tank away. But now that I'm getting, I'm more stable in the fish room, stuff like that. I'm not changing stuff out, and this is where stuff goes. I won't be like selling this tank and replacing it with something else. So drilling them is an option, because it's not going anywhere. But I hate bottom drill tanks, because if it were to get a small leak in the bulkhead, it drains the whole tank. Whereas if you drill on the top corner on the back, it'll only drain to that point if it starts to leak. But I think I'm still debating, might go that route of drilling through the bottom to have, like, for example, on this one, have the overflow come out underneath the tank into a drain to be able to get the auto water change thing going. Peter says they were in a castle. They were in a castle looking kids. Hot bucket with a note for the mister with the big tanks. Oh, okay. Somebody dropped them off to you. I've never had fish dropped off like that, but I've had tanks dropped off. Come home and there's a 20-gallon high sitting on my front porch, or 2 10-gallon tanks sitting there. I've had people call me and say, "Hey, I've got to take a fish. Can you take it?" And you Googled the fish to figure out what they were. Nice. See, that's something that we didn't have 30 years ago. You had people that you'd have to like take pictures and take them to people and ask the people what they thought they were. And for a lot of us, we didn't know other people that kept fish at this level. We take it in the pet store, and maybe the pet store knew. Curtis got turtles that way. They were just sitting by the door. No, I have not had fish or turtles or anything just dropped up. When I had a pet store, they would drop them off at the pet store. But I don't count that. Never had anything dropped off at the house as far as animal-wise. I went into pet stores, they would say, "Can't sell this lizard, don't want this lizard. Do you want to take this lizard?" Or, "I hate all these fish in this entire tank. They're trouble. Take them off my hands." And I get stuff that way sometimes. But never anybody bringing me fish to the house. I get the call that somebody says, "Hey, I'm 2 towns over and I've got some fish you may want." Jeff's talking about his RO system, I believe, where he says he's going to use it for the hatching. His fish are doing great in hard water, but the TDS has to be low so they can hatch. Yes. Yes, I've heard. I haven't dealt with it really myself, but I've heard people talk about the eggs kind of calcify if they're in too hard of water for certain species. And there's Nancy B. Hey, all, almost home from Chattanooga. Great swap yesterday, and the aquarium today. So I guess the guess that Nancy went to Chattanooga was correct. And then June says she can't wait for her python to arrive. Buckets suck. Yes, they do. And I'm hoping you got the Python brand water changer. That's the one that I highly recommend. I've tried multiple different brands of water changers. And while there's things that I like about each one of them, the Python one, the biggest thing that I like about it is it's easy to take apart. If it gets clogged up or something like that, you can take it apart and work on it. And all the parts are replaceable with like your regular like garden hose fittings. So if your on-off valve breaks or something like that, you just run to the hardware store, get a valve that you'd use for your water hose, and it will hook right up. Sutton Road Aquatics, welcome in. I think you're just now coming in. I haven't seen you in the chat up till now, but welcome in. And if maybe I've mentioned to you, said something to you, and you were in the chat. Talking to Curtis there. Jeff says he got his utility faucet fixed, so he's using the hose to fill tanks. So much nicer. Yeah, it's nice. The sink that I put into the fish room here, it's one of the, I guess it's called a utility sink. It's a deep basin, plastic sink, and I've got a fixture on it, a faucet on it that actually has the end of it is a hose bib, so it fits the threads and stuff of a garden hose. So the Python fits right on there, but I've added the manifold just because I wanted to complicate things. Peter says, I keep them in separated systems, and when there's a swap or meeting, I bring them along as mudfish. And autocorrect messed it up, but my brain fixed it when I read it. I didn't even realize that it was spelled wrong. How about that? And Elite Menagerie says, stray cats and humans have been left at my front door, but so far no fish. Humans have been left at your front door. That's something I've not had. When I had my pet store, to make things easier, we made the rule that we weren't going to sell dogs and cats anymore, just because everybody ends up being an expert on a dog and a cat, and certain members of the public just want to cause problems. So we quit dealing with dogs and cats. Still sold all the accessories, the chew toys and all that, but not selling the dogs and cats themselves. And some members of the public had trouble dealing with that. And spring is kitten season, and people have kittens because they don't get their animals fixed, then don't know what to do with them. And I've had I've had kids drop off all the time, but one that sticks out in my mind was a car pulls up to the front door of the store. the driver jumps out and opens the door of the store and holds it open, and a passenger in the back seat jumps out with a box, runs to the open door of the store, throws the box into the store. The driver closes the store door, and they both jump into the car and drive off like a getaway car. The box was full of kittens in it, fell over with an open top. Kittens went everywhere in the store. And I spent the rest of my day chasing kittens under fish racks and shelving and everything when I don't sell kittens. Jeff says he just needs a water pump to drain the water, but for now, he empties with a 5-gallon bucket. If you use like a garden hose, you can pick up an adapter that was used to fill water beds. Well, back when people had water beds, I think you can still get the adapters, which will fit your garden hose. And it's the same end that the Python uses. Or you can just buy the Python adapter off Amazon or something, or stuff like that, and it will create a siphon through this little Venturi system, and you can drain just like you would with the Python. And a lot of times, depending on the height of your aquarium compared to the sink, once you start the siphon, you can turn the sink off, and it just does it all on its own. But the pump's probably gonna be a little faster. June said she got the Python brand 25 foot. That's great one. I think that's what I have. With time, the clear hose will darken. Don't worry about that. It doesn't cause any problems. It just looks ugly. And the J hook. I've thought about getting one of those. But I'm like, I got so many plumbing parts around here, I could probably build one. Because I've had the end of the Python just pop out of the tank so many times. Jeff uses a 50-foot drinking water hose. It works, and that's what I like about the Python brand. Is the fittings are the same between a hose, like a garden hose, and the Python. So if you get a 25 foot, and you see you need another 25 foot, you can pick up a 25 foot garden hose and attach it, and have your 50 foot. And then you can use that hose for other things later. June says, I wish I knew I could have been that rude to get kittens rehomed. Man, what nerve. Yeah, it surprised me that happened. I mean, I've had people bring them in and just walk them in, set them on the counter while I'm busy with something else and leave. And, you know, I just always just said, well, they just saw that we were a pet store and didn't realize that we didn't take cats in and sell cats. But the people that had the getaway card, they knew it, and they were doing it intentionally because they know that I would say we don't take cats. Sutton Road Aquatics says, I'm rough on them, and they are cheap pumps I use to pump out my tanks. I bought a Beaver pump, and it lasted a while, but it's getting weaker. I have a 100-foot Python to run in my basement from the kitchen sink. It's very jerry-rigged. June says, I wanted the 100-foot, but arrival was September. And honestly, June, if you can get by with the 25-foot, it will do better than the 100-foot. The shorter your hose is, the better your system will run. Because the more hose you have built into it, the more friction and the loss of pressure that you'll get. Um, that it just won't, like, it won't pull the water out as with as much strength if you have 100-foot hoses, if you have a 25-foot hose. So just whatever the shortest one that will work for all of your tanks, go with that one. Shy Savage Cichlid is here. Welcome in. And yeah, I thought I saw Jose. Joy of Fish Keeping. Welcome in. His the name was blending in with all the chats that popped up. Everybody saying hi. And if anybody came in that I missed, I'm sorry. Welcome in if you're here. Curtis says he uses a Super Mag drive. Had it for years. And I thought about getting like pump systems to drain the tanks whenever I'm doing my automatic water change. But I think I'm just going to do the overflow system with water comes in, and what water comes in, that amount of water will go back out as well. I know it's not a true water change that some of the new water will go out, but it's more of a dilution thing than a change thing. And I think that even after I get my automatic water change system in, I'll still do regular water changes to get in like the gravel and vac and get the mulm and stuff out of the substrates. Jose says he's lurking at work, doing computer work and listening. I get to do that every now and then. I'm not supposed to, but sometimes I get to listen to some audio while I'm doing the computer work. Sutton Road was talking to Jeff, says he ordered from Keeping Fish Simple. Love his food, great quality, that he can't find in the U.S. Paid $130 for the biggest bag of bug buffet and picked up his new gel food. There's been a lot of transition into like insect-based foods. I don't know if Bug Bites was the first one to do it, but that's the first one I heard about doing it. And I thought about trying, because I mix up some of my own foods for some of the fish. And I thought about trying to do that with some of the insect, because you can get black soldier fly larvae in a dried format for like poultry and fish feed and different stuff like that. So you can use the black soldier fly larvae. You can get dried crickets and mealworms and other insects dried, mainly for the reptile side of the hobby. But you could process all of that, and something that was going through my mind is processing that and making a fish food to feed to some of our more insect-loving fish. I've got some that are real herbivores that I have to watch, that like a lot of the regular fish foods that are really popular is too high of animal protein for them. But for a lot of my stuff, an insect-based food would be great. Sutton Road says, I want to start making my own food like Repashy. Yeah, I've thought about that. I went as far as to actually buy the gelatin to put in the mix to make it, but I don't know. I haven't tried Repashy itself, uh, and I think I probably should try that first. My problem is like lot of the like Repashy style food. Once you mix it up, it has a short shelf life, and I would be bad about mixing up way too much. And mix up way too much, and then it just go bad on me. So I've like the stuff I've been making. It's been all like more shelf stable, more dry, that type of stuff. But I just need to learn to make smaller batches if I'm good at that stuff. Let's see. Sutton Road also says that way I have no fillers in it. I can't stand seeing ingredients start off as sweet and a few others. The first three ingredients, fish food. That's what makes it. Oh, good idea. Freezing it. That adds some time to it. That might be something to look into. But the Repashy idea, that's a good idea, and then freezing it keeps it longer, makes it easier to just grab and go. But that's a lot of my problems is like live food cultures. I can't really do much with them long term because they take a little bit of work, and my schedule keeps me so busy that I don't have time to. And I could probably take the time, but I'm going to say I don't have time to split the cultures up and divide them and recondition them and all that kind of stuff. I just need a food that I can come in, feed the fish really quick, and be done with feeding, move on to something else. And I tried automatic fish feeders kind of as a backup plan of if I've got to be gone for a week or something like that to get the fish, make sure the fish get food all the time, whether I'm here or not. But I'm looking at something different now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the plan that I was going with is going to work. When I was Sutton asked what type of gelatin to go with, so it's aquarium safe. When I was doing the research and stuff on it, you want the basic, just plain gelatin, no colors, no flavors, just real basic gelatin. And it was, human food grade type stuff. I don't remember if it was like in the canning section or the baking section or where it was, but I just got the plain Jane, no colors, no flavors gelatin. CR Fish is here. Welcome in, Cheryl. But like I said, I got the stuff, I put it on the shelf, and never got around to actually making the food. I get all these ideas, and like, ooh, I want to do that, and I do all the looking up how to do it and stuff like that. I might go buy the stuff to do it, and then never get around to doing it. It's like this week I bought a like if you saw my video about the squirrel taking the power out and wiping out a tank of fish, because the power's out for 12 hours. I wasn't here. I did research on a power bank that, according to all the reviews and stuff like that, it would run my central pump for 2 hours. So it gave me a 2-hour buffer to buy me time to get home if I need to, or just buy a few more hours. And you could leave it plugged in and plug the pump in it, and it would run and all that. So I found it on sale, the one that they said that would work, and I bought it, and I've been testing it out, and it will run the pump for almost 2 hours, but it won't charge faster than the pump pulls. So if I plug it in the way that I was planning on plugging it in, plug the power station in to let it charge, and plug the pump in, it works as a pass-through unit, that it keeps the power going to the pump and it charges, but it doesn't charge fast enough to keep up with the pump, so it slowly depletes the power bank. So that was not going to work for me, because setting it up as a backup system that way, it will run itself dead faster than it will keep charged up, even if the electric doesn't go out. So back to the drawing board on that. And Nick Hardwater came in, lurking and trimming stem plants. Nick says he's determined he needs more crypts and less stem plants. Yeah, I pretty much quit buying stem plants and only do rooted stuff, crypts and vowels and stuff like that. I have so much more luck with the rooted plants than I do the stem plants. But Jeff says his Ludwigia grows like crazy. I've tried different ones. I've tried different stem plants, and I haven't had much luck of getting them to take hold or really do well in my tanks at all, for some reason. But the crypts do okay. The vowels do all right. Anubias does okay. Java Fern, I can't really do that. It doesn't do very well for me. I don't know why. It's supposed to be a beginner plant. Excuse me. Jim needs roots on plants. Yeah, and that seems how mine goes too. That it needs roots to go in my tanks. I like Java Moss, but I'm at a war with it right now. Like it hides the hair algae, so I can't really deal with that. And June's trying to find Madagascar lace. Those are nice plants. I don't think I've had those in years. But I like the crypts, and look at all like the different vowels. But I like that because it gives a place for the fish to hide. And we've transitioned to talking about plants. Well, my clock says it's 7 o'clock, and that means I got to get off here. June said I had Java Fern in almost all my tanks, only saved a small portion. Yeah, I don't know. Like I used to keep Java Fern, but it doesn't grow good here. But like I said, it's 7. My time slot is up, and I wish I could stay longer, but I've got other stuff that I've got to tackle. But thanks everybody for coming and joining and showing support and all that here in the stream. Had a good time. Like I said, wish I could stay longer, but I've got stuff I've got to do. So I think I should be able to stream next week. I've got some stuff I got to do next week, but I don't think that it will conflict. So hopefully I'll see you next week. Until then, see ya.